Hello, everybody. Welcome to the TeacherCast Educational Network. My name is Jeff Bradbury.
And I'm Nick Amaral.
Welcome to Ask the Tech Coach, the podcast for instructional technology coaches. If you are in charge of professional development in your school district, this is the show for you. Welcome to episode 14, introducing yourself on the first day of school. And you know, Nick, it is that time of year where tech coaches are getting ready to start the school year. There's a lot of energy going on. Aren't you looking forward to creating a fantastic vibe for your students this year?
Absolutely. And, you know, just getting off on the ground, right, running and meeting all the new staff and planning the days ahead. It's scary at the same time, right?
It's certainly scary. I know as we're recording this, as we're releasing this episode, I'm just a few short days away from doing that stuff here. I know you've got your teachers all this week going on. But before we get into all of those topics, I wanted to bring up a couple reflections and reactions from last week. We did a great show, episode 13, of how to provide staff self-assessments. Nick, we had a lot of great feedback. What did you hear from your teachers that were listening to the show?
You know, they liked the takeaways. They appreciated the fact that, you know, that they got a grasp on what it is, you know, the scope of our job and gaining insights into what their needs are and how we utilize that information. I think that's a big piece that they don't understand is what goes into the back end of designing and a PD plan. Right. So I think that was a big piece.
It is interesting, especially when you talk to the teachers. You know, they think that you're there to help them, and you certainly are. But really, you're there to do the job, right? And the job is to help the district move forward. So, you know, in our last episode, we talked about a few important topics, like should we be collecting data on our teachers? And I think the answer is, yeah, of course we should be doing something. It just is a matter of should we be sharing that data with the teachers, right? And should they be seeing all of that stuff? Because, you know, they don't want to be hearing that you think they're a 2 out of 10.
Right.
But at the same time, you need to have some kind of metric to showcase and show off what, you know, what you're doing and how it's being beneficial to them. What are your thoughts about that? I want to do this really, really briefly, just in case you guys didn't have a chance to listen to last week's episode. And please go back and check out episode 13. When you're collecting data, Nick, who sees that data?
Yeah, you know, right away, I think it's me. So right away, myself, my curriculum director, we sit down and you know what it is? We're utilizing that information not to, like you said, evaluate a teacher, but to be able to gauge what are the next steps and how does it connect to what our overall thoughts and goals are. And I need that information to personalize. You know, like you said, I'm not gauging a teacher and saying, okay, man, they're only at step 1, they're a beginner level on something. No, that's not what I'm looking at. I'm looking at how many, you know, workshops do I need to run or create in order to move teachers to the next step, and how many people are at beginner level workshops versus intermediate or advanced. It's really given me an opportunity to pinpoint exactly what the teacher's needs are and provide them, you know, up front with their needs as soon as possible.
And it's important, and I know Nick just said the words, I want to kind of emphasize on that. You're really not grading the teacher, you're grading the program. And the program is how are we training our students, right? The teacher is just the part of the program that happens to interact with the students. You're grading the how is this running? So I would certainly recommend you guys check out episode number 13 over at AskTheTechCoach.com and let us know what you guys think. You can always find us on Twitter at Ask the Tech Coach, or you can certainly leave us a voice message. Nick, we had some great voicemails this week. We had somebody who actually knows you pretty well, Michael, called up and was asking some questions about how he can create a website for his teachers, and that goes back to an episode we did a few weeks ago. But you met Michael this week because you're running a brand new Saturday group. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, so, you know, taking the coffee EDU idea and trying to take it a step further. You know, a colleague of mine, friend that we've worked closely together the past couple of years. Him and I have tossed the idea up of trying to do a coffee talk and meet up, or, you know, EDU once a month. But we wanted to take it a step further. We didn't want it to only be based around coffee, to only be 1 hour. We wanted it to move around. We wanted it to be able to sit down and have lunch or talk lesson design and talk year and sit down and talk PD. I mean, we wanted it to be a lot of stuff. So we're just doing some edu snack really is the idea that we've are promoting here, and meet up on random days. We'll change it once a month. And right now, starting with a small cohort of teachers, a little group, then we got together and we just talked, let's just talk, what are our goals for the year? And also let's build relationships, which is going to be perfect for today's post, right?
It certainly isn't. When it comes to these things, the reason why Nick is doing this, the reason why you see these coffee EDUs or these, personalized support groups starting up is because it is difficult, right? I know for myself, I've got 6 buildings. I'm one person. Nick has 2 buildings. He's one person growing through it. And maybe you're in that situation, right? Maybe you're sitting there saying to yourself, it's the beginning of the year and I need some support. I need resources. I need to be able to put myself in a position where I can succeed this year, but that might be really difficult for you because maybe there aren't any other tech coaches in your district. Maybe you live in an area where there aren't tech coaches in your region. Where do you go? Where do you talk to? Now, Nick, you and I were saying earlier, it's easy to go to YouTube, right? There's a lot of things in YouTube that you can find, but who's got the time to search and find the right thing? It's easy to look on Twitter for that perfect blog post, but let's be honest, who has the time for that? Well, if that is you and you're out there looking for the perfect place to find these resources, make some friends, and really build a support group that you can use, have in your back pocket, we are creating an Ask the Tech Coach mastermind group that's going to be starting in just a few weeks. We are so excited about this. We are looking to put together a select group of people that are instructional technology coaches that want to come together to support each other, share resources, and really provide a service for each other to help each other become better tech coaches.
I'm excited about this. I mean, this is just a fun place. It's a group to be able to bounce ideas off of, to be able to share and collaborate, and just talk and meet up and see what each other's doing and gain insight. And, and you and I mean, pull the resources and things we've put together and gathered over time and we're talking about here on the podcast, and be able to sit down, virtually in this one-to-one kind of setting and be able to hand over a lot of the things that we've put together, and then learn from the people who are listening to us.
And there are so many people out there. We've been really, really moving forward with the Ask the Tech Coach Twitter feed. And we want to say thank you to everybody out there who's been joining in and saying that they would love to be on the show. We would love to have you on the show. What we're going to be doing is creating an Ask the Tech Coach mastermind. Now, what are you going to get for being a part of this mastermind? First of all, you're going to be a member of an exclusive team. And I like to say the word team, Nick, rather than club, because a team really
Absolutely.
is about sharing each other, right? And getting things together. So what we're going to do is we're going to say twice a month, we're going to get together for monthly video chats. We're going to be able to get together, share ideas, collect ideas, share different best practices, and really come together and hold each other accountable. Maybe we get together and Nick says something like, I'm going to be putting together some great Schoology resources. It would be our responsibility to help him and support him and maybe share so that way he can help out his teachers in his job. And we're going to be there for you as well. So it's going to start off with 2 monthly video meetings, and you're also going to get some free resources. We are creating a website right now for instructional technology coaches that has an exclusive series of tech coach based blog posts. Also, we're going to be doing bonus episodes of this very podcast that are going to be put on this site that only people in our Tech Coach Mastermind are going to be able to get to, using topics that we're not going to be discussing here on the show. And in addition to that, we're also going to be putting together an entire series of lesson plans. Things that we do or that we've seen or that maybe somebody has come up to us and said, hey, Nick, I really want to do this. We're going to be collaborating with all of those things and curating them into a single website. We are partnering up with a fantastic ed tech company that I can't yet say the name of, but we're going to be using that company's product to be creating online lesson plans. Now, Nick, you've seen the website already. There's some pretty neat things in there.
Yeah, there definitely are. And it's a lot of things that we're just looking for as tech coaches, right? And even if you've been doing this for some time now, right? Like you and I, and we've been in the game and we've been coaching and working with teachers. you and I still get together. We still bounce ideas off each other. We're still reaching out to other people and listening to what they're doing and taking those ideas and being able to recreate something new out of it. And this is that place. This is the lesson garage, you know, that I've talked about in previous episodes that I do with my teachers. This is it, like, blown up on a bigger scale here. And this mastermind is going to be a great thing just for anyone that wants to kind of join it and then, you know, get together and start something pretty cool.
Now, there's only one way that you can get invited into this, and that's by signing up at teachercast.net/AskTheTechCoachMastermind. Let me say that one more time here, guys. teachercast.net/AskTheTechCoachMastermind. We're going to have all the links in our show notes over here on AskTheTechCoach.com. This is, of course, episode number 14, but we're looking to have you guys sign up today. We want to know what the interest is. We certainly want to know who you guys are out there and start to get some ideas of what you guys would like in our mastermind. Now, in order to put this stuff together, we're going to look for probably between 10 and 15 tech coaches to get started with. Hopefully that it will grow throughout the year. So teachercast.net/AskTheTechCoachMastermind. Check it out today. Sign up. We'll put you on our mailing list. We'll let you know when things start to heat up. But there is a lot of great stuff that we're going to be offering for value here, such as, again, our 2 great monthly video conferences a week, our exclusive lesson plans, and also some of our templates. We've been putting out a lot of free templates. We're going to be making exclusive templates that can share out, and also hopefully ask that you guys share your templates too. It's going to be a collaborating place, much like TeacherCast is a place for teachers to help each other. This is going to be a place for tech coaches to help out each other. So check it out today, teachercast.net/AskTheTechCoachMastermind. Now, Nick, as we go through here, it is the first day of school coming up for everybody. And the question always is, what do we do? Right? I'm entering my 4th year as a tech coach. You've been tech coaching for a while now. And I remember that first year saying, all right, here it is. This is my first thing. I'm going to meet my teachers. I want to impress everybody. I want to show them why they're paying me. I want to prove to them how amazing I am. And then maybe they'll love me and they'll bring me into their classroom. Does that work, Nick?
No. And you know, and we want to do it, right? I mean, I remember that day. I remember doing it, you know, and coming in full steam and going, man, I've got all these ideas. I want to run with them all. Here we go. And you scare a lot of people off when you do that. And It's hard. You know, it's and the intention's great, right? But I think it's how much their thought is, how much does he really know about our needs? And then when you start thinking about that question, how much does he know about us and our district and the community we've built here? You need to really think about that, because that whole time could really be, well, you know what, if I just take a step back, maybe it's just build the relationships. It's just find out what those needs are, because a lot of those things you want to come in, man, I want to implement. You know, I want to implement tech tips, and I want to design this brand new website, and I want to throw these newsletters out all the time, and so forth. And the next thing you know, they don't use a platform that you're thinking about using, or the teachers don't check their email. They use an LMS to do it. You know, there's a lot of things that will change the game, and you don't want to waste that time. I mean, that time could be better spent totally just, you know, feeling out the staff. And I remember I did that. I mean, that was my thing. I took a step back and I said, you know what, for this remaining time when I started, because I started mid-year when I jumped into the district I'm in now. And it was just the idea that, you know what, for these months, I'm just building relationships. I just want to find out how they tick, what's their community about, what are their specific needs. And I'm going to try to go door to door to do it.
Well, let's take a look through this, right? Okay, it's the first day of school, and the only thing that I, as a teacher, want is time in my classroom. But now I got to sit through this meeting, and they're never short. They're 3-hour meetings, right? And then the assistant principal, your supervisor, whoever says, all right, and we're going to have 10 minutes with Nick. What do you say, Nick? You don't walk in and go, hey, how you doing, guys? Tell me your problems, because that doesn't go well either. What's your opening pitch?
Selling them on the great things that I think we can do, or highlighting some of the things I've heard. I've always found that to be a good pitch. Has just been, getting a little bit of insight, if you can, from someone about the things that are going on, or things you've observed maybe within the first day or a couple days or whatever, and just, man, how excited you are to be able to work with this wonderful staff, take it to, the next level. Oh man, I've got ideas, but I want to see where we can go from here. I think those things, highlighting really how you're going to highlight their accomplishments and how you're going to be able to, get them to be even more productive. I always want them. A lot of my workshops are based around the idea that I want them to be able to innovate, to try new things. And I want to open up that time for them to be able to play around and have fun inside the classroom, and really engage their students. I think if you tie it back to the students, you really start to, you hone on what a lot of teachers want. And that's, to buy time, to be productive, and to greatly affect their students.
So when you're meeting with your, I keep calling them students because I always see them as my students.
Right.
But when you meet with your teachers, if you had the option, would you do it with the administrator in the room or not?
If I had the option, me, no, I kind of like not meeting with the administrator in the room. I just find, I think with our role, there's a difference when they feel like, are we someone, and I always got this in the beginning, I think it started to tail off a lot over the past couple of years, the feeling that we're going to go into the room to evaluate them, and we're not, right? And I couldn't feel that. I want to see what you're doing, because my goal is to help you help your students. So what can I provide that's going to be able to enhance your classroom in a way? And I think when they see the disconnect, right, between, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but not that we're there with the administrator. I think when they feel that we can have this sit down and you and I can talk like friends about what's going on and your problems and the things that work on a separate note, that has a greater impact.
Now, the other question here is, does Nick pull out his 50-slide PowerPoint deck? Or is this literally just walking in, sitting down next to them and going, hey, we're here to do this together?
I don't know if I bust out a 50-slide deck here, but
75?
75. I don't know if I want to go through that much. You know what? I think, introducing yourself and talking a little bit about putting yourself on a similar playing field. That to me has always been really big. And I just want them to highlight that I'm still a teacher. I'm still a teacher at heart. I really enjoy working with kids. I still want to have a connection with students in the classroom. And my goal is to work with them one-to-one and just hopefully share the same ideas and the same passion for what they're trying to accomplish with them, and to help them get there.
I like to do this thing, right? I don't want to give away all my secrets, right? But
sure. I
start the slide deck at the beginning of the year, and at the bottom of the first slide, it says 1 of 432, and I just see them love the fact that I've got an entire 3-hour-long. No, I'm totally kidding about that.
Yeah, right. Who's this guy with 434 slides walking into our district?
Right, and then the next slide says 2 of 735.
That's it.
Just after every slide to get no, please don't do that here. My advice to anybody that's out there, right? Because again, we're starting to get people calling in, we're starting to get people phoning in, and I love the feedback from the Tech Coach community here. The whole idea here is that you want to listen. Your job is to listen. I always have a couple questions that I ask, and it's hard to ask these in a group, but I always start with, what was exciting? And then I go into what was frustrating. And I find that these are the two questions that I ask myself. But if I can say, Nick, what frustrates you? In the back of my mind, at least then, right, I'm going into the whole idea of what can I do? Where can we go? What are we doing? All of this stuff. You don't want to be that show off, though.
No, absolutely. And you're totally right. And I think that's the thing that scares them, right? You don't want to come in, all on fire here and all hyped up and ready to go. And you start to scare them off. And especially when you come up with all these things you want to implement, it's too much change at once. And I think they know that going in. They know there's going to be some changes, but they're not ready for, 10, 15, 20 different changes, the different things that are going to happen at once. And they're busy with so many other things. So your goal right now is to figure out ways to, you said it, get to know them, get to know their needs, build those relationships with them. Man, a coffee talk right then in the beginning of the year like that would be a great way to start it off, right? I mean, hey, let's just have a sit down. Let's just find out, what are you doing? If you have an opportunity to rebuild a PD plan, what are your needs? What do you guys want? And then see where it goes from there and just have that conversation.
Now, as we're going through here, some of the things that we want to figure out is, how do you end this, right? You don't want to say, all right, my 10 minutes is up, see you later. Do you give them something? Do you finally say, all right, here's who I am, here's where we are, here's where we are in the school, here's what we're going to do to move the district forward? Is there at some point you kind of dog and pony and go, hey, here's a free template, here's something that the science department can use, here's, hey, thank you for your time, I appreciate it, in your inbox, I'm going to send you something that you're going to be able to use tomorrow, here's an example of how it can run?
I like that. I mean, that's not a bad idea, Jeff. I think, and especially if you can connect it to a need. If you had some insider scoop, or from talking to someone, you already knew something kind of going in, or you have observed it. Maybe you've talked to someone and a need of the English department is they're working on digital portfolios. So maybe you can come up with some type of tip or note sheet about digital portfolios and how they can do that via Google Docs or via an LMS. But some type of giveaway is a great way to get started. And if you can kind of hint at what the goals are and what your overall goals are and where you want to go from there with these pieces, and they could see a little bit about how you work and what it's going to be like to work with you, I think that's going to go a long way. I like that takeaway piece.
Well, what could that be, right? I mean, here on Ask the Tech Coach, we've been giving away successfully, actually, a Google Slides trifold brochure. If you guys haven't checked this out, you download it, right? Download it. It's free. It's basically taking Google Slides, making it into a brochure. You can use it for so many different things. And it's one of those things that I'm going to be sharing with my staff this year of, look, you can use it for elementary. You can use it for science. You can use it for math. You can do anything that you want. Thank you for allowing me into the class. Here it is. Check this thing out. And there's a lot of different ways that you can make friends. I'm not the guy that walks in bringing bubble gum and chocolate. I'm the guy that says, I'm here to help teach you something. Here it is. Because I want Nick to look at me and go, oh, how did you do that? Right. Now you got somebody.
Yeah, cool idea like that. You're right. I mean, if we could just bounce some things off right now, Jeff. I mean, if we're talking first day and we're going to, walk away, I want to give something that's going to hit on a lot of teachers, that any subject or department can kind of walk away and utilize something. What could be some of those things? It could be maybe a neat graph or some type of interactive Google drawing that anyone could take and drop their own content into, and they can try it with their students. Maybe it's a simple Padlet board. Hey guys, I created this Padlet board. It's worked with my students in the past. Feel free to take it and try it out with yours as a first day or icebreaker or whatever you want to do with these pieces. But I like it. I think that's a big piece, and at least they start to get a feel for you, the things you're comfortable with, the tools you've used. It does a lot more than what you're saying, than just being a takeaway piece.
So here's what we did to learn a little bit more about this. We just released a blog post yesterday on the 27th of August. And again, the link to that is over in our show notes, but you can also go over to askthetechcoach.com and check everything out. But we went out on our Twitter feed at Ask the Tech Coach, and we surveyed the Tech Coach community. And I want to kind of talk a little bit about some of the responses that we got here. And then, maybe, Nick, we can kind of riff on this here. But
okay.
Kitty, who's Kitty_Trip, says relationships trumps all and catapults or denies your ability to affect change for those you support. And basically what she's saying there it's about the relationships. It's not about the technology. It's, Nick, how you doing? How was your summer? What are you looking forward to? Great. Me too. Let's do that together.
Yeah. And, going door to door, we want to go ahead, and we talked about it on the last podcast, was all about, surveying our staff and the data and the information we can take away, which is big, clearly. But, being able to go to door and just you pop in and just say, hey, how you doing? I just wanted to kind of, get a feel for what your classroom, where you're located, their name, and give me a need. Hey, if there's something I could help you out with, what would it be? What's your number one thing? And just take that away and remember that. Store that in the back of your mind, or write it down in your notebook and come back to it later, because you're going to find there's going to be a handful of teachers who all feel the same way.
Now, we have another tweet here from our good friend, Carrie Gallagher. Now, if you guys don't know Carrie Gallagher work, she can be found on Twitter at CarrieHawk02. And Carrie's one of those tech coaches out there that does so much stuff. And we love the great work that she's doing. She says to avoid mentioning tools. Don't walk in there and say, hey, here's Flipgrid, everybody. But she says, ask what the teacher wants the students to do, which skills students should use or practice, and also ask how they want their students to work together. Once those questions are answered, the learning process becomes clear. And once the process is clear, then think about the tools. Then you can bring the tools in here. And I got to tell you, Carrie is such a good tech coach to lean on. I wish there was a way that everybody could get to know Carrie. And that's why next week, Nick, Carrie's going to be our guest here on Ask the Tech Coach. We're going to be doing our first Ask the Tech Coach roundtable. This is something that we're going to be looking at doing maybe once a month, maybe once every other month, where you guys, the fine listeners of our Ask the Tech Coach community, can come on and just have a conversation with each other. We're going to be having Carrie Gallagher on. We're also going to be inviting a middle school teacher on who's not a tech coach, but is used to working with one. And we're also going to be having a first-year tech coach on. So we're going to run the gambit here, and we're going to talk all about what it's like to work with a tech coach, what it's like to be a tech coach, and really how can we survive in that first month of tech coaching. That's going to be coming out next week. I don't even know the date. It's the first week. It's the first Tuesday in September. We're going to be having that episode coming out with Carrie Gallagher. For those playing the home game, that will be episode number 15. So check out all that great stuff going on there. And again, check out the blog post. We probably have about 20 different great Twitter retractions here. So lots of great stuff here when it comes to what should we do with our first day of school. I got to tell you, Nick, I'm looking forward to it. It's been a long summer. Right?
It has.
And we've been throwing some ideas back around here, you and I. I know you've given me a lot of great advice. You've also given me a lot of good suggestions for how to start the school year. And I am so much looking forward to getting things together. And it only takes 10 minutes in front of your staff. I know I'm going to be doing the same 10 minutes probably a dozen times that day when I go through all the different departments of our high school and middle school. It's really the best way to put that first step forward. Hi, how you doing? What's exciting you? What are your frustrations? And oh, here's a cookie. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Here's some way, what are your needs? What frustrates you? And what are some of your goals this year, right? Like if you could do anything in your classroom, you had the opportunity, what would it be? What would you want to try? And you're going to play Santa Claus, right? Like you're going to figure out a way to get them what they want for Christmas. And
I know another way of inviting people to share what they want and what their goals are, Nick, and that's by checking out teachercast.net/ask-the-tech-coach-mastermind, where you can sign up to be alerted for all the great stuff that's going to be coming out, and you can have the opportunity to learn more about this amazing and exclusive team that we're putting together of instructional technology coaches. teachercast.net/ask-the-tech-coach-mastermind. You can learn how you can take part in our bi-monthly videos, our free and exclusive learning lessons, and all the great stuff that's going to be coming out. We haven't even talked about the big things that are going to be happening for this club. We're going to be hitting that on future podcasts. Speaking of which, we mentioned on our next episode, we're going to be having Carrie on and some other great tech coaches to talk about our first year. But the following episode after that, episode number 16, we're going to be talking about a very important subject, which is how to keep a record of your daily teacher interactions. Now, Nick, this is something I had to learn about 3/4 of the way into my first year. How to keep track of exactly what you do during the day. What do you do? And I'm assuming you have some kind of a system for yourself, right?
Sure. Yeah. And I use Google Calendars pretty, religiously, and going into that every day to keep track of everything I do, and linking that to a form that's on, our LMS or a site that teachers can go to. And I try to streamline it that way. That way it's not just a consistent workflow of email back and forth. That's hard to keep track of. So, I think once you have that, it's going to be, this next podcast is really going to be about that idea of, what do we do to keep track of our records, and what do we do with the information that we gather all the time?
And so check that out. That's going to be in 2 weeks from now. That's going to be Ask the Tech Coach episode number 16. I think we're going to name it Jeff versus Nick. Why Google Calendar is not the best way to do this. I'm teasing. But Nick and I have different versions of how we're going to do this thing, but we're going to share off everything. We might even have a free template to give you on how you can certainly do that and keep everything streamlined. And we want to learn from you guys. You can certainly reach out to us on Twitter at AskTheTechCoach. Leave us a voice message over at teachercast.net/voicemail. We want to hear from you. And of course, you can always email us over at feedback@teachercast.net. And speaking of which, lots of great stuff still happening over on the TeacherCast Educational Network. We put out a few STEM posts this week to get it ready for the school year. We're also continually putting out great episodes of our educational podcasting series. We've been working with people that we met at Podcast Movement that are just starting out their shows, and we're going to have a lot of stuff. I met somebody named Greg Holdsman. We're putting out that episode this week. Greg started a podcast called The Philly Famous. Get this, Nick. He created a show. He's a college student, so I really like that, right? But he created a podcast all around interviewing famous Philadelphians. Right, and I'm not just talking athletes, right? Because that's in there. But I mean, he's doing doctors, he's doing business owners, he's doing the local pizza shop guy, like the people that where everybody knows your name. He's doing a show all around who's who in Philadelphia, and as a Philadelphia guy, I absolutely love that. You can try his website over at phillyfamouspodcast.com. His name is Greg Holdsman. Great stuff. Again, we're gonna have everything over on educationalpodcasting.today. Nick, I want to say thank you so much for being here today. There's a lot of great stuff that I know you have going on. Before we go, what tips do you have for our audience?
Yeah, I think it's just with, the beginning of the year, and just to remember when you're putting your stuff together, to me, it's just that learning comes first. And when you're going to run your workshop or whatever you're going to do, just try to get back to what the point is. It's about what the objective and the learning behind it. So give your teachers just time to be able to play with stuff, don't come into just, giving the background on how to use a tool and going off for the next hour, but give them the first 20, 30 minutes to just play around, and you're going to find out, what they do and what they know and what they don't know after that, and then be able to really personalize the workshop after that.
I love that. Learning comes first. Put your students first, put your teacher first, put the learning first before the tool. I think that's really the motto for where we are today in our lesson, but really for us in our school year. Help them figure out what they need. Guys, I want to say thank you so much for spending the time with us today. This is Ask the Tech Coach episode number 14. We are looking forward to a great school year. We're looking forward to having you in our Ask the Tech Coach mastermind that found at teachercast.net/Ask the Tech Coach Mastermind. And on behalf of everybody here in the TeacherCast Educational Network, my name is Jeff Bradbury.
And I'm Nick Amaral.
Reminding you to keep up the great work in your classroom and continue sharing your passions with your students.